of the governors of Kano and Plateau State, why he affirmed the Supreme Court affirmed the appeal court decisions in Lagos, Cross River, Abia, Ebonyi, and Bauchi states. Meanwhile, we've seen reactions, loads of them, from across the state, jubilations in some part. So these are the faces of those who have benefited from today's judgment. Basically, no one is going on. No new governor has been installed by the apex court. So rest assured, Sanwo-Olu remains the governor of Lagos State. Bala Mohammed remains the governor of Bauchi State. So the Supreme Court has said. Abba Yusuf, governor of Kano State. Dauda Lawal, governor of Zamfara State. Governor Infuru of Francis Ebonyi State. Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. Alex Oti of Abia State. And Basi Otu of Cross River State. Those gotten the certificate of affirmation from the Supreme Court, if there is anything like that today. But let's get some reactions and let's show you what has been happening across the state. Let's begin in Kano. Well, the street of Kano was agog. It was almost as though they were watching it live, what was happening in Abuja. This was what it looked like, or what it looked like in Kano, in the street of Kano. Some dangerous display of jubilation and excitement. You can see on the faces of the supporters of the NNPP and Governor Abba Yusuf. And of course, the governor has been reacting to this. He says he's very happy. Take a listen to him.
We believe that justice and fairness will continue to prevail in our courts, especially the apex court, the Supreme Court. I thank all of them, and I wish them best of luck as they continue in their effort to ensure that in all the judgments they make, they ensure that there is free and fair.
That is it for Kano. What about Lagos State? Babajide Sanwo-Olu sat tight, and as soon as he left Abuja and arrived Lagos, he arrived into the warm embrace of members of his cabinet. In fact, he showed some little display of excitement also. I thought I was going to actually dig it deeper, but then that was the much you can see of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, it won the contest in the courtroom, on the election field, but I'm not sure how far it can go on the dance stage when it comes to a contest of dance. But well, the Supreme Court says he's the governor. And in Cross River State, let's tell you what happened and the atmosphere in Cross River State, where also Governor Basi Otu of the APC, and he's been affirmed by the Supreme Court. And these are reactions. Governor Basi Otu has arrived on the ground in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. And this was some of the pictures of the senators, lawmakers, and members of the APC and giving him some kind of warm reception to celebrate the Supreme Court judgment. Of course, on the streets of Jos in Plateau State, jubilation and reactions are trailing the affirmation of the election of Governor Caleb Mutfwang. These are some of the reactions on the street of Jos. Both the young and the old expressing their excitement. Of course, the very significant green-colored hat representing the supporters of Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP. There you can see jubilation right there. There you go. All right. That is what it looks like. The spirit of excitement and jubilation when you win, when you're on the winning side. But let's get some details on what really happened. So there are two judgments there that should concern everyone, which, of course, in our electoral jurisprudence, in our elections, you need to take cognizance of this. Why? The Supreme Court judgments are law. They are precedents. And whatever cases that are related to what the Supreme Court rules on, whatever the Supreme Court has ruled on today becomes the template upon which the court are going to rule in these similar cases. So it is important to learn what the Supreme Court has ruled on. But why did I say two cases are significant? These cases are the case in Plateau and Kano State. These governors, their elections were reversed by the appeal court. And they went to the Supreme Court to appeal. It was a very dicey one. They could have lost the appeal at the Supreme Court, but they won today. But the position of the Supreme Court are very significant. And tonight, that's why one of the governors in that case, is with us tonight. The governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutfwang, joins us live in our studio. Thank you, Your Excellency, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, Sheon. Thank you, Nigeria.
How does it feel?
A huge relief, a huge burden. A huge relief because it has been a torturous process. Having to go through litigation after you have been sworn in is not the best of engagements. Full of uncertainties, and we thank God that finally today it was brought to an end. Because litigation is not a necklace to wear perpetually. It has to come to an end. And we are glad that today it finally came to an end. So in that sense, it brings a huge relief. But again, seeing the kind of excitement the judgment has generated, it again tells me that you carry a huge burden. And that is a burden not to be taken lightly. And by the grace of God, we'll trust God for his grace to not only carry that burden, but to discharge it effectively.
I imagine that you may have been packing some of your personal effect out of the government house a few weeks ago, because going to the Supreme Court after you've lost at the appeal court, you know one thing could happen. It's either you win or you lose at the Supreme Court. And for any reasonable person who perhaps will be saying, these are important personal affairs, let me take you to my personal home in case anything goes wrong at the Supreme Court. Was that the case at some point?
Sure, that's an interesting one. I can assure you that certainly those thoughts will cross the mind. But as I'm talking to you, my family is still where I have resided since May 29. And I had always believed that the law was on our side, that God has been on our side, that the Supreme Court would do the needful. And therefore, we did not panic. Therefore, we didn't lose confidence in the institution of the judiciary, in the personalities of the justices. And therefore, we managed it better than you think.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that it must have been some kind of pain when you lost at the appeal court, knowing for well that you won on the field in the election, and you perhaps are going to be left, your fate is going to be hanging in the balance and in the hands of just about 7 justices of the Supreme Court to determine whether the victory you got on the field will be affirmed or retained. So in that sense, it was a very dicey one. Your lawyers, they played their role, but 3 or 4 days ago, when they called now the fact judgment for today, things were looking up, and those who understand the body language of the court might wonder, maybe it might just flow in your direction. But in the final analysis, what would you say is the biggest lesson in this process for you?
Many lessons to learn from this process. I must tell you, there are many conversations that we'll have out of this process. But for me, I think today is a day of glory for justice. It's a day of glory for the judiciary. It's a restoration of hope and confidence in the judiciary for the common man. Today, their lordships did Nigeria proud because they didn't state any new position of law. I sat through virtually all the judgments. All they needed was to restate the position of the law, because a lot of the issues that came up for litigation have been decided upon in a plethora of cases. It was therefore surprising that some of the tribunals missed the application of precedent, and at the Court of Appeal, some of the panels also missed the application of precedent. Our jurisprudence, Sheun, is based on the doctrine of stare decisis. That is judicial precedent, or put another way, judicial discipline. And therefore, once the Supreme Court has, a superior court has stated what the law is, has interpreted what the law is, that interpretation itself becomes law. So it's not expected that a lower court will deviate from what has already been stated as a law, except they can find reasons to differ from existing judgments.
But the Supreme Court on its own can deviate from his own judgment and give reasons. It can actually disagree with his own judgment and deviate if it finds good reasons and there are changes in the processes.
Very well. There is what we call the inherent jurisdiction of the court. And the Supreme Court is called supreme because it's not just a court of law, it's a court of policy. And when it is making a decision, it looks at the totality of the impact of that judgment on society. And so, of course, it tries to follow the rules of interpretation of statutes, so to make sure that the interpretation of the law conforms with the spirit of the law. Because before you enact any law, there is a mischief you intended to cure. And so the Supreme Court is the guardian of the justice system. And today, they executed that role very well.
If it had gone in the other way, what would you have said?
I would have been surprised, but I would have taken it, because it's the final court of the law.
What was your plan? What was the alternative plan if you had been sacked finally today?
If I had been sacked, I'll take it in good faith.
What were you planning to do afterwards?
I had no plans, because I didn't think I was going to be sacked.
So you thought that this is either this or this?
I was confident that the Supreme Court was going to
What
reverse
gave you
the
that
Court of
confidence?
Appeal. Two things. One, God. Two, the law. The law has never been unambiguous. The issues canvassed in my case were anchored basically about the issues of nomination and sponsorship of candidates, which is not within the jurisdiction of tribunals. The other issue had to do with a purported disobedience of a court order, which was a contrived lie that was packaged and sold to the Court of Appeal, and it fell for it, because there was no court order that was disobeyed. And today I'm glad that the Supreme Court made appropriate findings that every court order that was given had been obeyed, and that the Court of Appeal strayed beyond the boundaries of its jurisdiction in saying that I was not properly and duly nominated by my party.
So, I mean, in all of this, do you think this, for some reasons, under the Bola Tinubu dispensation, there is some kind of hope in the system, in the climate, about what the judiciary had delivered today?
Yes. In my first interaction with the press, I did make that point. For an African president not to intrude into the political space, we must say kudos to Mr. President.
You think he did not?
I think he did not. If he had used, the Nigerian president is one of the most powerful presidents. And if he decides to use his powers wrongly and intrude into the political arena, he could unsettle a lot of things. But today, I believe, he allowed their lordships to do their work, and they did it according to the dictates of conscience and according to law, and I'm proud of them.
I mean, for those who have lost hope in the judiciary, who thought that the judiciary is being on the market and on the rack for sale, what do you have to say?
That is exactly what the Supreme Court did today, to show that the judiciary justice is not for sale. I wish you were in court, Sherwood, to hear some of the comments of their lordships. First of all, what they said today, a lot of the cases that went wrong, which were corrected today, shows that there's a wake-up call for both the bar and the bench. There are many, many cases that ought not to have gone to court. They were taken to court by lawyers, and I think we need to address that. Maybe there needs to be some penalty for those kind of mischievous cases, which are abuse of court process. There must be a sanction. And it is that gives the judges the latitude, the platform, to also be able to misapply the law.
But there are those who will say, Governor Mutwang, that if it was to be some politicians who really want to wield their political power using the courtrooms, that their party, that the party in power will have taken it all.
Yeah, the political parties also have a role to play. When the political parties don't do their homework and leave loopholes, disobey their own rules of engagement, disobey their own constitutions and guidelines for elections, then they open the window for lawyers and the courts to be able to misbehave. And so it also means that the political parties have to ensure that the processes, their internal processes, are fair and just, and they are very transparent. If not, we'll continue to have this vicious cycle of very laborious litigations, which are very energy-sapping and distracting from the purpose of governance.
I've spoken to quite a few people when this was developing. I remember a conversation I had with someone like Daniel Boala, who had, at the time when he was speaking about it, he sounded unpopular. And I mean, I remember my conversation with a member of the House of Representatives from Plateau State. I mean, quite a few of them, especially about Plateau State.
Yeah.
But for you, this has created a lot of political tension in Plateau State. And if it were not for God, things will have gone really bad. There are those who still think some of the violent activities that we're seeing on the plateau is also due to political tension created in the aftermath of the appeal called judgment. Now, as the leader of the state, as the #1 citizen, are you willing to extend the olive branch to all and sundry, no matter what political party they belong, to come together and help you build Plateau State? Or you still want to fight on it politically?
There's nothing to fight over, Sheol. Today has brought the judicial process, like I said, to an end. I am the governor of Plateau State, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my responsibility is to run the state efficiently for the benefit of all. I can tell you that there are so many benefits that have come out of this perverse judgment at the Court of Appeal. One of it is that it has expanded my knowledge of people and the state. It has expanded my knowledge of the dynamics of Nigerian politics. It has expanded my depth of knowledge about the dynamics of the workings of the judicial system. And I can tell you that what it has done for me is that it has brought out in me some positive energy that we can be able to change the Nigerian system. Today, I've always been an incurable optimist that Nigeria can change. And today, with what I saw in the Supreme Court, it raises that hope further. That if the Supreme Court can get it right, the judicial system will get it right. The administration of justice will get right. It therefore means we can cascade this into other spheres of our national development. I believe that with a lot of the things that are happening now, some of the drastic corrective measures Mr. President is taking means that change is possible.
So you believe in what Bola Tinubu is doing?
Oh, why not?
Have you met with him?
Uh-huh.
Did you discuss your case with him?
Nothing unusual. Of course, he's aware. As the president, he's aware of all.
What was his comment about the matter?
I wish you good luck. I wish you good luck.
He never tried to help.
Well, in what way can he help?
He's the president.
He's the president, but he's not the judge. That's what I said. That's what I'm commending Mr. President for the deliberate decision not to intrude into the judicial space. It takes a great restraint for a good leader to restrain himself when he knows that he has the powers that can be able to distort the system. And he says, no, I'm not going to use it. I would rather allow the system to sort out itself. And I think that is good for our country.
One thing that is of concern to a whole lot of people, either they're from Plateau State or not, or they're from the north-central region of the country or not, is the insecurity, the security situation in the state. Is almost 200 communities across 3 or 4 local government areas, including Manga, your local government, Bozo local government area. And there are a lot of people who are worried that what has really gone wrong. In fact, there are those who are saying that this is a deliberate act to take over the land because of the people of the state, because of the natural resource they want to get. Because there are those who are of the opinion, the theory is that as soon as they take over, they chase the people out. Few weeks after, you see the mining of natural resource in that land, not concluded, but these are some of the theories that people have. But in the interim, what comes to your mind? What do you think is at the heart of these very crazy, violent idea of killing innocent people in their beds in the middle of the night and chasing them out of their communities?
Thank you, Shewood. When a lion tests blood and you don't kill the lion, it is going to go after more humans. And this is what has happened in Plateau and perhaps much of the North Central, where these criminal activities began over 2 decades ago, and they were treated with kid gloves. And they kept snowballing and kept, subdividing. The dynamics kept changing. Today, it is a multifaceted, hydra-headed problem. It will not be far-fetched that there are land-grabbing interests involved in this matter. It will not be far-fetched that we also have criminals who have lost humanity and therefore can be able to shoot a 3-year-old baby, for example, with a gun at close range. And how the baby didn't die only takes God as a miracle worker to have preserved that child. Where you machete a 5-year-old boy for not just cause, it shows a loss of humanity. I'm worried, Shewood, that it looks like, to some degree, Even in Nigeria, our values have been so thoroughly eroded that we've lost our humanity in many respects. And today, we have allowed criminality to thrive. What I can tell you we're dealing with on the plateau and the attacks in the recent past are pure acts of terrorism. And the earlier we dealt with it as acts of terrorism as a state, not plateau state, I mean, as a subnational, but as a Nigerian state. We deal with it as an act of terrorism. We will not be able to apply the hammer with the full weight we can bring to bear on this monster. It's a big monster.
Are these known terrorists?
Yes and no.
Are they aliens? Are they non-Nigerians?
I believe that the sponsors of the terrorists, the financiers of the terrorists, that those who arm the terrorists, that they are known. And the security agencies know them. If they don't know them, they have the capacity to know them. And that is why we're insisting that the security agencies must do their work, which is to protect lives and property. And when they recruit unknown persons, when you hear about unknown gunmen, oftentimes a few have been caught, and truly, they don't appear to be from any part of this country.
I mean, I can imagine that as a former local government chairman,
yes.
In Manga, for example, Mangu, sorry,
yeah, right.
You have an idea, a native local intelligence that you get from the people.
Very well, very well.
And when you say that these are terrorists that are being sponsored and these people are capable of being known, you yourself as the chief security officer of the state should have an idea. Who are these people? Can we name to shame them? And the Nigerian people will know the terrorists that are terrorizing our nation? Is it possible?
Well, it's possible, Sherwood. It's a collaborative effort. I do not have the tools of coercion to be able to catch these people.
But do you know
and bring them to me.
Do you know these people?
Even if I do, my duty is to transmit my knowledge to the security agencies because they have constitutional responsibility to investigate, to arrest, and then sometimes, of course, when they have done that, I as governor now, under my Ministry of Justice, we can be able to prosecute in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Justice. So it's a collaborative effort. We must share information and knowledge. Some of the things are very sensitive, and therefore you cannot just spill it out in the media. You must be able to engage the appropriate authorities if it is going to bear the much needed fruit.
But are you thinking of alternative measures yourself? The police and security agencies are not within your control. And you can only give your authority, assert your authority as prescribed by the Constitution, but you do not control them. The IG controls the police. The NSCDC is controlled by their controller and all of that. There are other states in this country that have developed vigilantes, that have developed local security and watches that will help the security architecture in the state. Are you thinking of this kind of alternatives?
It will interest you to know, Sherwood, that Plateau State was the first to be given authority by the then President Goodluck Jonathan to start what today people know as the Amotekun in Southwest. The former Governor Jang started what you call the Operation Rainbow, which politicians mischievously said it was a militia he was building. And unfortunately, that platform of security management was not well utilized in the last 8 years. And we're trying to bring it back. Everything we're doing is in the open. We are trying to, like you said, mobilize the local vigilantes and hunters so that they can defend their communities. But we're doing it very transparently. We're getting the police and the civil defense to give them some trainings so that they can be able to safeguard their communities. If we don't do that, we're going to allow people to resort to self-help, which is dangerous.
Do you think there is a competition for control of natural resources in your state?
Oh, sure. Why not? It's natural, like you said it. Once there are resources, people will be interested in harnessing them. And if you don't do it lawfully, you will do it unlawfully.
And those who are saying that there should be a law to allow some Nigerians to carry arms, to bear arms to defend themselves. Do you think, if you see the pain of the people bearing the citizen in your state, do you think for a moment that there's a need for that kind of situation?
Well, sometimes the call is inevitable, but as a governor, I will tell you that you cannot allow arms in the hands of people without some form of regulations. It is necessary to regulate. It is necessary to have some form of control. It is necessary to have a reporting back system so that people do not misuse the license to bear arms. We must be able to balance things at any point in time so that we don't descend into anarchy.
All right. But you are resolute to fight back.
Oh, sure. Our people, I don't have an option. Our people are determined to fight back.
So we not go green situation right now.
If the option is that if you are pushed to the wall, it's either they kill you or you push back. There are no two ways about
the
it.
people of Plateau say that resolute, that they will not stand aloof and being killed by.
No, certainly the people of Plateau, their spirits are not broken, of even despite the attacks that they have come under. And I can assure you, because of the confidence they have in people like us, and the confidence, therefore, they can have in government, they are waiting to see what government can do. But we are assuring them that government will not fail them, so that they do not take laws into their hands.
On the final note, Governor, there are a lot of casualties, those whose fate were determined by the Court of Appeal, federal lawmakers, and all what have you. Well, how do you feel for them right now?
Very sad, very sad. Let me tell you, Shehu, that happening at that level of our judicial system not only caused pain, it caused death. And today, the plans and projections many people had for 4 years have been truncated. And so a lot of dysfunction has come into the system. But today, Shehu, all I want to do is like the day a 4th division team in FA defeated a Man City football club. And therefore, I want to savor the joy of today. And we will then be able to think of what the remedy will be.
There are those who are thinking that you are moving to the APC. Is that true?
Move to the APC?
Yeah.
I have never discussed that with anybody.
You have never considered that?
It's not in consideration at the moment. Why should I?
But you are willing to work with Bola Tinubu at the
He's the president of the country.
All right.
He's the president of the
Governor Caleb Mufwang, congratulations again. I guess it's an order for your victory today at the Supreme Court, and I wish you well in the governance of Plateau State.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Shehu.
I appreciate it.
Once again, thank you, Nigerians, for your support, for your prayers, for your love. We truly appreciate it.